In this video, we are going to look at 3 topics. I'm going to just touch on them one at a time, sort of like PTI style, if you like. The first one will be Chennedy Carter. Then after that, I'll look at college basketball in the top 8 and just brief takes on all of those teams. And as well, the final thing is I want to take a look at Kentucky and Kenny Brooks versus Tennessee and Kim Caldwell, and just take a look who won the hire, or which team do you feel better about going forward. Before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. All right, let's get into this. So first of all, Chennedy Carter. Yes, she is an unrestricted free agent. It has been confirmed today. Chicago did not offer a qualifying offer, which is unbelievable because in the WNBA, you win with talent. Chennedy Carter has talent. Now, she might be a pain in the bum behind the scenes. I don't know. But that is obviously implied in the article by Annie Costabile, where she is obviously getting information from the Sky management. Basically, they leak that. You can tell who that is coming from. And maybe Chennedy Carter got away with more and didn't adhere to the game plan when Teresa Weatherspoon was the coach. But you're bringing a new coach in, Tyler Marsh. Why not bring Chennedy Carter back and see if she fits in? If she does, great. He can lay down the law and say, this is the way we're doing it. If it doesn't work out, then yeah, cut her. Get rid of her. But why just let talent walk away when Chicago needs talent? Makes absolutely no sense to me. And then hence with the tease with, does Chennedy Carter need Kim Mulkey? The reference there in the thumbnail that I did is basically Kim Mulkey has critics, and I'm not saying I agree with everything that Kim Mulkey does, but the one thing I will give her credit for is she will bring in players, and she says that I judge them from what I see with my own eyes. So case in point, Caitlin Gilbert, she brought her in. She basically said, you're going to play defense. If you're not going to play defense, you're not going to play, and this is the way it is. Gilbert's come in. It's seemingly working out, and that's because Kim Mulkey had an open mind with it. Same thing with Alexis Morris. Like, she sent her away from Baylor. She was breaking team rules, said get out of here, but gave her another chance at LSU and said, fresh start. If you do what you need to do, come back and here we go. And I think that's invaluable. Why not? Talent is talent. It just makes no sense to me, them allowing her to go via free agency. And I think these coaches, it's not only the Chicago Sky, it's the same thing with the LA Sparks. They brought in Kurt Miller, and straight away he cut her. Didn't even get her a look in training camp. And she had a protected contract. So instead of bringing her in and seeing if she could fit into his system and be a good team player, no, we're just going to cut her outright. So yeah, I don't get it. But anyway, obviously Chicago has a plan, so I'm keen to see what it is and see how it plays out. Now next, the top 8 teams. Obviously, with that, I think there are 7 really established teams. It's pretty clear. UCLA is one. They had another good win versus Baylor at New Jersey. My question with UCLA is all the travel. They're going to stay on the East Coast because next they play Maryland, and then they'll go back. Then I think they have to travel up the West Coast. There's just a lot of travel for UCLA and USC with playing in the Big 12. But other than that, they shot 21% versus Baylor, the three-point line, and they still got the win. That's one of my other questions with them. If they shoot cold against a really dominant team like a South Carolina or a Notre Dame, how will they pull up? Or a USC for as well. That will be interesting at the end of the year. Number 2 is South Carolina. They're looking better and better. Joyce Edwards, Dawn Staley said it in the press conference after their win over Oklahoma. She's just getting better and better, and it's just because she's getting more confidence with those extra minutes because Ash Watkins is out with her ACL injury, and that just helps build it. The other interesting thing with South Carolina is you can tell that Malaysia Fulwiley is heating up. Just South Carolina, even without Ash Watkins, they just still have so much talent, which will be on display when they play LSU this week. Now, number 3, I have Notre Dame. I think they look like one of the best teams on paper, just in terms of their backcourt and just settled at every position. They've got Citron. Caval will probably give them enough at center, and then Westbelt's come back from her foot injury. So Notre Dame is just looking really good. I think they'll win the ACC. I think South Carolina, they could be wrapping up the SEC this week, and it really appears the Big Ten is really going to come down to USC and UCLA. Number 4, I've got USC. We'll see how they continue to go. I still have the same question with them, travel. But Juju with Kennedy Smith, those two wings are just devastating together. LSU, I have 5. We'll obviously see their matchup with South Carolina. That's a tough gig going into South Carolina. Number 6, I have UConn. If you're a UConn fan, you're happy that Paige, Azzi, and Sarah Strong went off together in the same game. They both brought their shots, and it looked beautiful. Now the question is, when they take their exam versus South Carolina, what will it look like? Number 7, I have Texas. They came back from their loss at South Carolina and took care of Maryland pretty handily with their defense. Madison Booker had a nice little bounce back game. Now, in my mind, those are the 7 teams that are going to be in the top 7 till the end of the year. I think it'll be a battle for the number 8. Now, that's injury dependent as well. I think there'll be a battle for the number 8. I see that between TCU, Maryland, and Ohio State. Maryland and Ohio State will face off in the next day. That'll be interesting. TCU is the front runner to win the Big 12, as Kansas State has found out Ayoka Lee is now out with a fracture of her foot. Now, they're saying that she'll return this season, but if you do the math on it, 6 weeks is early March, so that's pretty late, and that's if everything goes well. So I don't know. It's not looking really good for Kansas State. So let me know if you agree with me. Do you think the top 7 are set up, basically, and we're just really finding out who that top 8 team is going to be? And I really think this year's tournament, if everybody stays healthy, it is very open in terms of who's going to win. I still think UCLA and Notre Dame look the best on paper, but any of those top 7 teams could win easily. Now the final topic, I'm going to look at the hires of Kenny Brooks by Kentucky and Kim Caldwell. What I find interesting, I'm not so worried about the wins this season. So Kentucky's only has 1 loss, but the hard part of their schedule comes in the second half. Tennessee's suffered 3 losses, and they might be getting their 4th when they play Texas this week. The thing that fascinates me is their contrasting styles. So Brooks is very laid back and just gives off a cool confidence. He's done this at Virginia Tech and knows what he's doing at Kentucky. At the same time, Caldwell is coming from a small school background, Glenville State, and then she won at Marshall as well. She always had her teams make the tournament, and she is just very, very intense, and she really called out her team after the Vanderbilt loss.
Kim, just the final play to give up an offensive rebound like that, when it feels like recently the team has kind of cleaned that up, just how frustrating is it to have the game end like that?
It's incredibly frustrating. When we told them box out, they get 1 shot. We work on it every day. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing I coach is effort and rebounding, and that's pretty much the only thing we're struggling at right now.
On the team, suffering another loss like this after, kind of getting back in the win column.
I think they have to make a change. We have to make a change. We can't continue to just do the same thing and have quarters where we don't show up, can get out rebounded when it matters, have plays where we take them off, effort plays. We show them every possession that costs us a game, and we're either not good enough to fix it or we're just don't think it matters.
And in the modern age, it's really a fine line of how far can you go with that? How intense can you be before all the players decide to start transferring out? And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. She actually has a really strong class coming in. They have 2 of the top 15 recruits. I think they have 5 in the top 50. So their next class coming in has been rated number 2 by ESPN. If they have success and the players buy in, it could be fantastic. I just wonder, between the two, what would you put your money on if you were buying a stock? Would you put it on Tennessee and with Caldwell, or would you invest in Kenny Brooks and think that he's building the long-term, steady program that will sustain? And yeah, I don't know at this stage, to be quite honest. I guess I tend to go with Brooks because he's done it in the past, and I like the way that he manages players. I think it's impressive all his players followed him. But that said, a coach has to be who they are, and if you're super intense, then you have to coach super intense. And if you win, players will come. That will be the thing. If she can win and do it, then players will want to play there. But I'm just curious to see what you guys think. If you think the better hire was Brooks, or if you think that Tennessee really scored with Caldwell, and from what you've seen so far. Now I'll leave it over to you. So yeah, your comments on Chennedy Carter, the top 8 that I've laid out, and as well, which coach would you rather put stock on? Would it be Brooks or Caldwell? Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.